Rosh Chodesh Tov u'Mevorach, and here we are here again, and it's Rosh Chodesh Av, and unfortunately Rosh Chodesh Av falls within the 3 weeks between Yud Zayin B'Tammuz to Tisha B'Av, so we are not allowed to have music, and we will not have Zumba today, but instead we will go to the beach, we will have yoga, and Hidbodedut, which in the secular world called meditation. So looking forward. So, this week we're starting a new Chumash, Chumash Devarim, Parashat Devarim, the Parasha of Devarim. So, out of all the books in the world, the 5th book of the 5 books of the Torah is called Chumash Devarim. Hashem couldn't name it something else a little bit more appealing. What's Devarim? Why Devarim? And the first parasha is dedicated to Devarim. What's Devarim? Devarim in Hebrew is milashon, from the root of diburim, of speaking, speeches. Moshe Rabbeinu is about to pass away. He's about to be 20 years old, and he knows he's going to be going back to Shemayim. This time he's not coming back. He's about to give up his neshama. But before he goes to Shemayim, he wants to give constructive criticism to the Jewish people. He wants to give them the tools of how to live life after his passing. So this book and this parasha is called Devarim because Moshe Rabbeinu is about to give diburim. He's about to give words, speeches. But why do we need such a whole book of diburim? Why we need the whole parasha of diburim? It's not too much? He says no. Hashem says, I want you to learn from this. How important are your words? How powerful is your speeches? Whatever comes out of your mouth needs to be like from the mouth of Moshe Rabbeinu. Hashem, the divine, used to speak from his throat. And how do we know if God is speaking from our throat or not? Is when we ask ourselves, do I really love this person before I speak to him or her or them? Do I really care about this person? Am I sincere about what I'm going to say? Why am I saying what I'm going to say? Sometimes when we ask ourselves why we're about to say what we want to say, we back out. We say, oh, actually, maybe it's smart for me not to say. We have to think. Hashem wants us to think and to make sure that when we speak with the divine speaking from our throats, just like he spoke for Moshe Rabbeinu. So Moshe Rabbeinu is about to rebuke, to give constructive criticism to the Jewish people. And that's what it says. In the first verse until the 3rd verse, I'm going to read you the constructive criticism, and you're going to tell me what is the criticism here. Here we go. These are the words that Moses addressed to all Israel on the other side of the Jordan, through the wilderness in the Arava near Suf, between Paran and Tofel, Laban, Herzorah, and Dizahab. It is 11 days from Horeb Kadesh Barnea by the Mount Seir route. It was in the 40th year, on the 1st day of the 11th month, that Moses addressed the Israelites in accordance with the instruction that Hashem has given him for them. Who can tell me what is the constructive criticism over here? I don't blame you. I don't blame you. When I first read it, I was also like, I do not hear any criticism here. What's the criticism? It's just listing places from one place to the next, and then it's saying that he decided to tell them that after 40 years. So what's the constructive criticism? So Rashi is telling us that Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us 3 important things before we give constructive criticism. The first one being to prepare before you speak, then timing. And the 3rd thing is content. So prepare. What is happening over here? It says, Ele hadevarim. These are the words. Already just from these 2 words, these are the words, we learn that somebody has thought before they spoke. Somebody has organized before they spoke. So Moshe Rabbeinu is organizing his words, what he wants to say. He's preparing. He's thinking thoroughly about what he wants to say, and he summarizes it. He's saying to us, you want to give constructive criticism? You are already in the position? Fine. But just think before you speak. Prepare, organize what you want to say. Don't just come and say, oh, I know this person, I meet them in shul often, so I'm just going to, I happen to see them, so I'm just gonna say it. No, think before you speak. Come prepared and summarize it, because most people, for something like entertainment today, we can't listen more than 5 minutes. We have to scroll by TikTok, going quickly between 1 minute to the next. So definitely with constructive criticism, we want to make it short and into the point. The second thing is timing. Moshe Rabbeinu, it says, אחרי 40 שנה, after 40 years. So whenever they sin, he doesn't tell them right away, hey, you sinned, or hey, you did this, or why did you do that? He keeps quiet, he acknowledges, he collects everything, and then after 40 years, he decides to give them criticism. And why is he doing that? Because he wants to teach us two things over here with timing. A, that we do not catch people red-handed. We do not want to reprimand, to rebuke or give constructive criticism to anybody who is red-handed. Meaning, if your child happened to steal something, if they were chutzpahdik, if your spouse has lied to you, cheated on you, who knows how they sinned against you, if somebody at work was not honest with you, if whatever the situation is, when somebody, or let's say for example, you told somebody not to go somewhere and they ended up going, and because of that they lost something, or they broke something, it's not the time to tell them, I told you not to go, maybe next time listen to me. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us, at this very moment when the person is red-handed, you keep quiet. If you can't support, at least keep quiet. And when the time is right, after 40 years, only after 40 years, when they won a war, he helped them win a war, and they felt victorious and happy. Only then they were willing to hear. Then he reprimands them. Then he gives them constructive criticism. He's teaching us also in our life, when we have to say something to someone, we have to make sure that it's not at the time of when they're red-handed, when they're sinning, or doing something against you or wrong towards you. And it has to be also a timing where they're happy, they feel victorious, they feel joyful. And why is that? Because Moshe Rabbeinu is saying to us that we want to keep someone else's respect. We want to make sure we keep the honor. We don't lose respect in their eyes, so they can hear from us and accept from us. Moshe Rabbeinu, after 40 years, is reprimanding the Jewish people, and he's teaching us another thing with the timing. You want to make sure before you reprimand anybody that you build rapport with them. What's building rapport? You build a relationship, a bond. Nowadays, our generation is so consumed with social media that most of us, not all of us, but most of us are so busy we don't even realize that we don't have a true relationship, even with the people who are most closest to us. We prefer to send text messages, voice messages. We don't really have a phone call. We don't really have conversations. We don't really have a relationship, not to talk about bonds. So how can we reprimand anybody? We have to, before we give criticism, we have to make sure that we build the rapport. Moshe Rabbeinu is building the rapport, he's building the relationship, the bond between him and the Jewish people. And only after 40 years of build-up, he says, and he allows himself to give them criticism. The third thing is content. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us that Chazal say, כשם שמצווה להגיד דבר הנשמע אל האוזן, כך מצווה לא להגיד דבר הלא נשמע לאוזן. Just like it's a mitzvah to say something that is pleasant to the ear, it is a mitzvah not to say something that is not pleasant to the ears. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, if you do not have to give criticism, please do not give it. It's very hard in any generation for any humankind to hear reprimand and rebuke. Please don't do it unless you really, really have to, and you are in the position like a parent, like a boss, like a trainer, like a mentor, like a rabbi, like a director, like a leader. Even then, we just spoke about the things that you have to take in consideration before you do. But if you don't have to, Chazal tell us, Moshe Rabbeinu tells us, it's better that we don't rebuke and don't give constructive criticism. Just because you're married, it doesn't mean you can give ideas and musar to somebody who is not. Just because you have children, it doesn't mean you can give direction to someone that does not have. Just because you are married doesn't mean that you can give shalom bayit speeches. We want to refrain from giving constructive criticism, Moshe Rabbeinu is saying. And how do we know that? Because Moshe Rabbeinu is listing over here places. But Moshe Rabbeinu is obviously not stupid. Every place that he is listing over here is a place where the Jewish people sinned. They sinned big time. He just needs to say the name of the place and they will know exactly what happened over there. If it was Chilul Hashem, if it was cursing Hashem, it was disgracing God, if it was not behaving nicely to one another, if it's not keeping their promises, if it's not giving the mitzvot, if it's not, so many things that they have done throughout these places that they've been through for 40 years. Moshe Rabbeinu is just listing the place. He's teaching us, if you're already going to give the reprimand, if you're already going to give the constructive criticism, please sandwiches, like we said in psychology, we want to sandwich. We want to first give compliments, then we give the criticism, and then we give another compliment or a bracha. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us that he's learning from Yaakov Avinu. Before Yaakov Avinu passed away, he also gathered all his children. He reprimanded them, but every reprimand came with a bracha. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us, before you give criticism to someone, if you're already in the position, then you want to make sure that you acknowledge them first. Do not say it right away. Acknowledge them. Understand that if they did something wrong, you know they're good people. There is a reason they did it. They must have been in pain. They must have been hurt. They must have been angry. Something caused them to do what they did. So first acknowledge the person, then give them criticism. So Moshe is teaching us when to say criticism, how to say constructive criticism, and how to say constructive criticism. It all must come from free love. Ahavat Chinam. In Chodesh Av, we have Tisha B'Av. On Tisha B'Av, we cannot forget the major event that has happened in Jewish history. We have lost the Holy Temple, the Bet HaMikdash HaKadosh. And why did we lose the Bet HaMikdash? Because of senseless hate, reasonless hate, sinat chinam. So now we have to have ahavat chinam, and when we give criticism, even more so, it has to be doubled in 10 times folds of ahava, sincerity and respect. In Pirkei Avot we have Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who asks his students a question. He asks them, what way should a person go? What path should a person take if he wants to acquire honor to himself and others? So his students started saying kindness, honesty, dignity, humility, unity, all kind of good characteristics, good midot. And he keeps quiet. He keeps quiet because they're all right. But he wanted the umbrella. What all these things are coming from what? Those are subtitles to a title. What is the title? He wants them to say, but nobody said it. So he said it after everybody gave their contribution of answers. He said, if a person wants to go in a path that will acquire himself or herself honor and others honor, then he needs to have a lev tov, good heart. What is a good heart? Let's read the definition of Chazal of good heart. A good heart is one that is open to constructive criticism, receptive to feedback, and willing to reflect on one's actions and attitudes. It is a heart that seeks personal growth and the betterment of the community. So we see over here that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai does not tell his students, oh, that was wrong, or that's not what I mean. He just kept quiet. So both Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and Moshe Rabbeinu demonstrating to us how to give constructive criticism with the intention of warmth and growth. But they also tell us that growth cannot come without acknowledging shortcoming, reflecting on the past, and preparing to make changes. They emphasize the importance of humility, self-reflection, and the willingness to learn from feedback. Now, what's the connection between good heart to Rosh Chodesh Av? So, of course, we already said on Rosh Chodesh Av, we have the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, which is a consequence of internal division, of separation, and neglect of spirituality within the community. And a good heart is doing exactly the opposite, seeking unity, compassion, kindness, good-heartedness, doing chesed, and of course being more mindful of the spirituality, the impurity of the community. Caring not about myself all the time, not about only my family, but also about my community. But not only my shul, or my synagogue, also the collective, other synagogues around, and the Jewish people as a whole. What do we do to care about others as a whole? This is a good heart, and this is how it connects to Chodesh Av. On Chodesh Av, we want to make sure that we practice good-heartedness. We have the opportunity to reflect and see what is our connection with God and religiosity. Do we actually keep the Torah and the mitzvot? We have the opportunity to practice good heart and pay attention to our religious rituals. Do I say Modeh in the morning? Do I wash Negel Vaser in the morning? Do I say Modeh? Do I pray? Do I put on tzitzit? Or do I put on tefillin? Do I encourage my husband to learn Torah? Do I encourage my children? Do I light candles on time for Shabbat? Do I accept Shabbat on time? All these things, we can keep on listing them. We want to make sure that we practice good heart in Chodesh Av, in regard to our relationship with Hashem. So first is the relationship with our community, so the Beit HaMikdash can be rebuilt. And then the relationship with God and religiosity, our religious rituals. And last but not least, how do we respond to tragedy? Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. Beit HaMikdash is on flames, and until today it's not built. There is a reason. Practicing good heart is actually paying attention and criticizing and advocating for the injustice within ourselves, within our community, the prejudice, the racism, the separation, the disunity. Chazal tell us that every generation that the Beit HaMikdash was not built on, it's like it was destroyed in their generation. So we want to be mindful, we want to practice good heart and make sure that we do not keep quiet and we do not sit still and we do constantly work on injustice in the community, on unity in the community, on discrimination and racism, and separation and disunity. I wish that Be'ezrat Hashem this year on Tisha B'Av we will have the merit to see the build of the Beit HaMikdash, and we should all have a collective redemption, and of course, private redemption. Oh, and of course, how can I forget? There is something really humongous coming up this week. It's also known the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av is also known to be Shabbat Chazon. It's also called Shabbat Chazon. What is Chazon in Hebrew? Chazon means vision. Rabbi Levi Mibardichov is telling us that on this week, on this Shabbat, Hashem is giving us a special gift. We have to pay attention to our dreams while we are awake and our dreams while we are asleep, because Hashem is ready to give each and every one of us a prophecy, a vision. So if somebody is blessing you, if somebody is telling you something, you want to pay attention this Shabbat for this whatever it is that somebody is telling you, or it's something that you hear, that you happen to hear, or a dream that you had, that you dreamed of, or what you say to other people, because you're also getting prophecies regarding other people. We're about to see this Shabbat a chazon, a vision, a prophecy regarding the redemption of the entire Jewish people and also of our own private redemptions. So, I wish you all a beautiful and blessed visions, and I can't wait to hear your vision. Don't forget to tell in the comments below, and of course I would love it if you give a like to the video, share it with others for Zikuy Rabim, and of course subscribe for more content. Shabbat Shalom and Rosh Chodesh Tov.